Good morning. We'd like to call the Town of Surf City work session on July 19th, 2024. At this time, I'm going to ask Mayor Pro-Tem Jeremy Shugarts if he would lead us in our invocation and our pledge.
Please stand. Let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for doing the things you've done in our lives. Thank you for blessing us with a wonderful city. Thank you for this council, our city employees, and our citizens. Please guide us and direct us in all we do and all we say. Look after people that are less fortunate in this world, and also give us the strength and the guidance that we need to do your business. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jeremy.
That will be the last.
Hey, no, you prayed very well. Do we have any public comments? No public comments. At this time, I'd like to get a motion to accept the agenda.
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Agenda is approved. We'll get right into it. Item number 1 is the Banks Channel Navigation Project. And Kyle pretty much has all of the show today except for one item number 4. So Kyle will lead us here.
Thank you, and good morning, Madam Mayor and Council. First item on your agenda is a review of the Banks Channel Navigation Project. If you'll recall, a couple of months ago, staff brought to you a sort of a plan for sediment management that included some immediate, intermediate, and then our long-term sediment solutions. This intermediate project was identified as the Banks Channel Navigation Project. Just a little bit of history on this is that the town had carried this project forward through essentially permit issuance through our regulatory agencies, concurrence with the Corps and DEQ on the navigation of Banks Channel. A byproduct of navigation products is sediment, as they have to do dredging. In our case, there is beneficial sediment within Banks Channel, and when I mention beneficial, I refer to that as that's sediment that could be compatible to put onto the beaches. So what we are proposing is that we move forward with TI Coastal, which was the engineer or contractor in place already with this project, to prepare a grant application to the state's Shallow Draft Inlet Fund, as well as prepare plans, specifications, and bidding documents, so that if we are successful in applying for that grant, we are able to receive bids and get some accurate numbers in regards to the actual construction. So this request is for professional services in the amount of $85,000. If council would like to move forward with this, we will set up a capital project budget for that and carry that forward to you at your August meeting. Again, your obligation at this point is limited to the $85,000. If successful with grant award, and we can evaluate what the total impact or cost of the project is going to be in regards to our beach nourishment fund, staff will bring forth another recommendation on whether or not we would move forward with this project. In working with the consultant or the engineer, it's estimated that there's approximately 800,000 cubic yards of sediment material that could be placed onto the beach. And that is of high quality sand. They've done sampling out there already to look at that. So it is a feasible project. That Shallow Draft Inlet Fund would cover approximately 75% of the overall cost. Based on the engineer cost estimate, we'd be looking at essentially a total of $15 million for this project. However, there would be additional costs if the town were to make a decision to bring additional sediment north of the Surf City Pier. Those types of activities, stockpiling and hauling north, would not be covered under any grant funds, so that would be an additional expenditure. Again, we will get cost estimates on all of this if we are awarded the grant, and we'll bring this back to council for your ultimate decision. One thing that I did want to mention is that if we are successful in moving forward, we could potentially see this project getting started in November of this year, which is a very quick turnaround. So we would certainly be diligent in everything we do, and again, all the prior work or planning work has already been completed on this project. So we do feel like we're in a good position to move forward. So. With the investment, again, for $85,000, I feel like we would put ourselves in a very good position to make those decisions. I can try to answer any questions that the board may have of this.
Okay. I'm personally very familiar with it because it was one of the projects that we were looking very seriously at a few years back before we got the Army Corps. So does anyone else have any questions concerning the project?
This area is from the pier south or from the pier north?
No, this area would cover essentially from the Topsail Beach Surf City town line north to the pier. And I say that the stockpiling and truck hauling because it's a hydraulic issue in pumping that much material that far. So that's why our limit for pumping from the channel to the beach would be up to the pier.
So the pumping would be pretty much towards from the south end, from Banks Channel, what, through Topsail Beach? Are they?
No, we would identify a location adjacent to Banks Channel to run a pipe from the channel directly across to the beach. It would be wholly within Surf City's jurisdiction.
Okay. Yeah, I was familiar with how they did it when they did their beach, and they blocked off like Trout Street or something like that. They did, but okay, so it's.
Yeah, we would utilize one of our road right-of-ways that lead to the sound, and utilize that to then cross over South Shore and then go onto the beach through one of our beach access easements.
I have a question. This is for Madam Mayor. So this is not in lieu of the project. This is in addition to it. It'll be supplemental as far as will it explain? If you can explain that
Absolutely.
process.
So we were hoping to have sand on our beach by now.
Okay.
And we're not going to have it this fall. Next fall is still, up in the air. So this is a nice Band-Aid that we can put on there to, get through another couple of storm seasons.
Got it.
And we've talked in the past about any quantities of sand that get put onto the beach can potentially become a net reduction of sand quantity for the Army Corps project. You're talking about with 800,000, maybe a noticeable impact. I don't want to, my conservative approach on that is still, I'm not going to bank on a cost savings that's going to be exponential as we plan for our Army Corps project. And again, just for the public, there has been nothing that the Corps has indicated to us that our project is going to experience any additional delays. And if we would have known about the delays when we were going through this project process, when we got word from the Corps, if we would have known that timeline, I feel confident that the town would have pursued this project a couple years ago. So that's the unfortunate side of it, is I think that we just didn't know.
Excuse me, I remember that the original project with the Corps was going to be December of '25.
Correct.
That's still up in the air, or is that?
No, there's, like I mentioned, there's been no indication from the Corps. We're still working on them releasing that tentatively selected plan to go to the public. I've been in contact with the Corps on that. They have an internal review going on right now, but then that will be published. That's another major milestone for us. So no indication that there's any delays.
And you don't see any indication that if we put the sand on the beach, that they come out and say, oh, well, y'all are covered now, so we're gonna move on to another project.
Yeah, no, we have reached out to the Corps to ask that question because that's a very significant question, and they have indicated that this would have no effect on their forward motion.
And the 85,000 covers, what again?
85,000 will cover TI Coastal's cost to prepare a grant application that goes to the state for the Shallow Draft Inlet Fund. And then also, it will cover the bid, preparing the bid specifications, the plans, so that we are ready to put that out to bid. We just will not be able to award a contract until we hear from the state in regards to acceptance of that grant.
And then which one of these numbers is our projected cost? If all the pieces fall into place and they say, ding, 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 November, let's start hauling dirt. All right, bring us a check for this amount.
Your projected cost for just the navigation project and putting that identified material onto the beach would be, at 25% cost, would be 5.355 million. If we are going to make a decision to utilize a portion of that volume to stockpile at the Surf City Pier and then truck haul north, that cost would be 6.18 million. So you're looking at a difference, of a little less than $1 million. And really our cost with truck haul comes from when we're hauling it from a site off 421. That's where a lot of that cost comes. So again, we're cutting that down drastically because if you'll recall, we were talking like 5,000 cubic yards, and that cost the town, almost $300,000.
So for this navigation project, the money would be coming out of our beach
Beach
nourishment
Nourishment
fund.
Fund, yes, and we will prepare the budget for the project.
The projected total cost would be what?
Well, we will present those options back to you, but projected total cost for the town would be either 5.3 million, and that's to remove the sediment from Banks Channel, put it on the beach from the pier south, and 6.2 million to put that sand on the beach from the pier south, but also stockpile and then truck volume north.
Yeah, from that point.
That's correct. That's a 100% out-of-pocket cost for us.
If we're pulling it from the Beach Nourishment Fund, within the year, are we able to be back where we need to be so that we have the funding we need for that project as well?
Yeah, and those are the projections that we will present back to council to be able to make those decisions. These are going to be engineering cost estimates. They're pretty good when they do that, but ultimately, until we put that project out to bid and see what the actual costs are going to be, that they're bidding on those things, a competitive process, we will have the final numbers. But if there's something that is going to jeopardize our financial position, I will certainly let council know about that, and our recommendation is going to be solely based on that. But we will take a look at what our projections are through December 25 when they start our Army Corps project, and then there's a inherent minimum 13-month time frame in which that project will be going, so we can then project out another year's worth of beach nourishment revenue coming back in. So.
If there are no other comments, then we'll just move to a consensus.
I agree.
Is everyone?
I agree.
I agree. Okay, we have 100% consensus to move forward. Item number 2 is the Surf City Multi-Use Path Contract Segment 1.
Okay, so this is another exciting project that we're trying to move forward with. The town had put out a request for qualifications for various engineering services, one of those being trying to identify somebody that can help the town move forward with the Surf City multi-use path. What we have identified as segment 1 of this path would be generally from the Magnolia Reserve community over to where the R5900 or Coretta Drive or Quadrant project would begin just west of the intersection or light here at Town Hall. So what we've done is worked a scope and fee with the identified engineering firm, which is Trans Systems, formerly known as SEPI, if you're familiar with that company. But we did hold interviews and selected them, felt that they had the best qualifications to carry us forward. And what this contract does is gets us up to the 25% design plans for that first segment. In addition to that, we have added on additional environmental review, hydraulic design for that segment, because that is going to put us in a position where we are much more competitive for grant opportunities when we have identified those things, and those are things that NCDOT is going to require when we are constructing within the right-of-way along that portion or along that segment. So we feel confident that this first scope and fee will get us beyond the 25%, somewhere between 25 and 65%, and gives us a really good understanding of where we are and a really good understanding of what our cost estimate is going to be to construct this first segment. So what we're requesting, and this will become another capital budget. This is going to be, we will start to begin to set the budget for this overall project at $196,888.75. So if council is in agreement to get us to this point, we will set this initial budget for $200,000 and move through this process so that we can get moving forward. And we're starting to try to identify some grant funding. DOT just released something yesterday about a potential 50% capital cost match. We have some other potential leads, but if you'll notice in the tasks in which Trans Systems will be taking on is that a portion of this fee will go towards grant-related services, so that their team, of professionals dedicated to applying and obtaining grants, they will have directive on that and will assist town staff with it. So that's where we are at with the Trans Systems. Work with the attorney. I got the terms of the contract yesterday, so we will work with the attorney to get those reviewed and carry this forward to your August council agenda if you're in agreement.
Anyone have any questions concerning the multi-use path? Nope. So do I have a consensus to move forward?
I'm good with it. Yep. Me.
We got 100% consensus. So moving along to item number 3, the Surf City Boat Ramp Access Area Mutual Agreement.
All right. So Jody has been working with North Carolina Wildlife in order to seek improvements to the Surf City public boat access area. As you know, that's located within Soundside Park, and it is a very heavily used boat access area, and we feel like we're kind of overdue for some improvements, but the state has committed, and this is a reflection of that, committed to making those improvements by replacing the ramp, extending the dock structure, which will then become a floating dock structure, as we've had some issues with that stationary dock and the tides and people's vessels. So with that, they are requesting an updated memorandum of understanding or cooperative agreement between the town and the state. We have reviewed this, provided comments back, and they have responded to that, made some minor adjustments. The big thing here that I wanted to just kind of point out was how it relates to special events. And in the past, the town, when there's a special event that would have an impact on the boat ramp, we have to go to the state and seek those permissions to be able to close the boat ramp. This agreement under subsection C5 identifies or it reads, "It is recognized that the following special events will be permitted for closure of the site. 3rd of July, our fireworks display, our holiday lighting event or our tree lighting event in November, and then 3 additional special events approved by the town of Surf City." So if the town sees fit that a special event will have an impact and we need to request the ramp closure, this kind of already sets the parameters, and it should be a easier process than we've undergone in the past. With that being said, this does put a limitation on special events, especially at Soundside Park, where that boat ramp can be closed, and I think it provides a good balance between what the town does with special events, marketing, tourism, and just having events for our community. But also, what Surf City certainly strives to do is support our boating community, our fishing community, et cetera. So that is the sort of the outline of the agreement. There's some other things in here that, they are relevant, but that was the primary point that I felt like council probably needed to make sure that you guys understand and that you're in agreement with.
Let's back up for a minute.
Yes, sir.
So, talk to me about what the current process is right now.
Yes.
And then let's walk through very quickly the process you want it to be, so it's more in layman's terms, if you don't mind, okay?
Yeah, so annually, we know that we have those 2 events, right? So the clerk has reached out to the state. She will say, hey, we have 3rd of July, we are requesting closure of the boat ramp. Typically, the state will come back and said, your request has been approved, and therefore we then advertise that the boat ramp is closed this day, et cetera. So it's generally a straightforward process, but one that requires the town to reach out to the state to effectuate that closure. And Madam Clerk, if you want to add anything, I didn't.
It's not a difficult process, it's just something that has to be done for every time we need to do that.
And if a private event wants to go on, do they have to contact also?
So what we will make sure occurs is that the town is still the requesting entity, because the caveat to this is that the language that says, and 3 additional special events approved by the town of Surf City. So if somebody wants to go and reach out to wildlife, our expectation is that they redirect them back to the town to follow the special events process.
This puts, who will be, just so I'm making sure is this going to run through Carla, the clerk? Will she be handling this aspect, or is Jody handling this aspect?
We would probably still keep that consistent, that the clerk would do the reaching out once she gets notification from Special Events Committee that something has been approved that necessitates the
I'm asking the
closure.
questions, obviously, because it's contentious for our boat ramp being closed
Of course.
during prime season, and so that's always an issue. So we want to make sure, I just want to make sure that how that process is going to be done.
Yeah, and two, just a good time to bring it up, just as we don't really do a lot of special events, major special events during the prime season, except for the 3rd of July. That's generally the only time that boat ramp is closed during the spring, summer, early fall, whatever it is. And, the PSEC committee now is working on some policy to go into the special events manual to help guide and direct what these, kind of a sneak preview, what they're defining as major events, where there would be enough impact within the park that would necessitate the closure of the boat ramp, so that there's not a major conflict between pedestrian and park users and people that are using the boat. There's a balance that has to occur there. And then, as you can see, if we're limited to 3 boat ramp closures or 3 major special events, that's, beyond the fireworks and the tree lighting, that's where we're going to be kind of locked in. And I think that's not constrictive by any means, just due to the fact of the resources that we have within town. Our law enforcement, our fire, and managing major special events. We just can't have major special events, every weekend, so.
Procedurally, like what kind of timeline would we need to give the state in the event that we were going to do one of these additional events?
That's a good question, Councilwoman. I'm going to defer to the clerk on timing on that.
Currently, I believe their requirement is at least 30 to 60 days.
Okay.
And don't quote me on that, I have to check. But, and that's because we generally try to give them 90 days notice,
Okay.
if possible. Just
Yeah.
to make sure also we have adequate time to advertise it for folks that might want to use the boat ramp.
I have a question about the property, the parking area and everything leading up to the ramp, excluding the ramp. Is that our property or is that Wildlife's property?
No, it is the town of Surf City owns all the property out there. It's through the agreement in which the state makes the investments for the boat ramp.
Okay, so they only have jurisdiction over the boat ramp.
That's correct.
Okay.
yeah.
We'll actually own the boat ramp and
Yeah.
the dock. The town will own it. We just have to keep it open for the public.
Okay.
Yeah, so, that's the caveat is they make the investments, they build the infrastructure, we have to keep it open. But they'll still maintain.
My question was based on signage. We had discussed this at the PSET meeting, and it was, we were told that we couldn't put any signage up. The idea was, we put up on the electronic sign when the boat ramp is closed, when the park is closed, what have you. Last event, we ran into a situation where guys were let in, put their boats in the water, and then we closed, and these guys that were out in the water had no idea. Although it was posted on the signs, there was a lot of them, there was few of them, but in this upcoming event, they're talking about closing the boat ramp at 3 o'clock, and I brought up a question. I know that people go on social media and we have this electronic sign that's up that says the boat ramp's closed at like 3 o'clock, but we could post signs 2 or 3 days before, right on the boat, right leading to the boat ramp, a physical sign that says this boat ramp will be closed on such and such date 2 days later, and I was told that we weren't allowed to do that because that's Wildlife's property.
Yeah, I mean,
I just wanted to
especially
clear that up. I didn't think
temporary signs,
just-
I think that's a prudent effort.
Absolutely. Just in case the person like myself,
Yeah.
who is not social media wizard, would go put my boat in the water because I normally do,
Sure.
had no idea that the boat ramp was closing at 3 o'clock. And now you've got guys out in the water, they're coming back.
You could just set out there when it happens.
Oh, yeah, I mean.
And then the people that do the event are going to have to make sure, we have to make sure that they take care in getting those people out of the park during their event, driving out
Yeah,
that
and again,
roadway.
we can talk about the specifics on those things, but yeah, generally speaking, 3 o'clock is a tough thing. I mean, you've got people committed already at that point, so we can address it, with the.
I just wanted to make it
special
clear
events
that, for myself, to know that is our property.
stuff. Yeah, it is our property. Yep, we own that fee simple.
Yeah, so it's, I think the main thing about, on that closure, we just educate the public. If you put it on social media, of course they're going to read it, right? So we're going to put it on social media that the boat ramp is closed on those certain days, and also maybe send something out to the Association of Realtors just to let them blast it on their rental site as far as people coming in expecting to fish at that boat ramp. is
Yeah, we
closed.
can, I think we can put together maybe a little SOP on notifications, and it can all fall in line, I think would be a good.
Right now, we're just looking at five times a year,
That's correct,
which
yes.
2 of those we know that are completely reserved by the town of Surf City, July 3rd, and the Christmas tree lighting. And then, looks like Ocean Fest may take one of those. And then Surf City Live NT will take one of those, so there will be possibly one more that would pop up during the off-season between, October and March.
Yeah, again, they're still refining what their guidelines are gonna be, but, yeah,
It would have to be like, well, we already have one in November,
yeah,
a major event,
two
too.
with Surf City
With-
Light
and the
and Sea and the
Christmas,
tree
yeah.
lighting, yes.
So it would be like January through March that there could possibly be another closure.
Yeah, the boat ramp at all five would be 1.4% of the year it would be closed. So.
Does anyone have any,
Oh, just a consensus is
Yeah.
fine, yeah.
we got a consensus?
I agree.
All right.
And Madam Mayor, I will just note that with the execution of the agreement, this is the last piece in which wildlife will be seeking before they get started this winter to make those improvements. So that is an exciting project for the community, that we get those much-needed improvements at the boat ramp.
Absolutely. All right, so we have a consensus to move forward with the Surf City Boat Ramp agreement. We'll move on to item number 4, which is the firearm surplus, and I'll call upon Chief Voorhees to come up and present.
Excuse me.
Good morning. As we all know, Captain Johnson has served with Surf City Police Department for 28 years, and he's going to be retiring effective August 1st, which is less than 2 weeks from now. So it's customary for law enforcement agencies to present the firearm of a long-standing police officer when he retires and present that to him as a gift upon his departure. North Carolina General Statute allows for that, allows for the town to sell that firearm to Captain Johnson so that we can present that to him. It has to be surplus first, and then a price set by the town manager, and then we can effectively legally give him that firearm. So I'm just asking that we are allowed to surplus that firearm so that we can make that sale.
Is that a vote or a consensus?
Consensus.
I agree.
I agree, definitely.
We have 100% consensus.
Very good. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, this is Captain Johnson's last workshop that he'll sit in, so we got some special treats before the meeting's over.
Special treats.
Yeah, we got some special treats. Okay. All right, moving forward. Item number 5, code enforcement policy, and Kyle is going to take that as well.
Yes, so we discussed briefly, some instances in which the town seeks compliance for code cases, whether that be municipal or zoning cases. And sometimes we get to situations where compliance is achieved, and we would say voluntary compliance or through a series of letters that go out to a violator of any case. And the end result of that is we meet our number one goal, which is always just compliance. That is always just our number one goal. Subsequently, there are penalties and fines that get assessed for every day in which a violation has not been rectified. So you may have situations where a code case has been essentially taken care of, but then there is a fine or a fee that has been associated with that case. And we administratively cannot close that case until essentially restitution has been provided by the violator. In some cases, town staff has been sort of requested to negotiate, to settle these cases outside of the legal process, getting the town attorney involved, et cetera. And what we did was we put together a policy, draft policy, I will note, that would sort of direct staff to be able to move forward in looking at these negotiated cases if a violator requests that. So the idea behind this is that we would work with that person and through documented site visits, administrative work that goes into it, set a negotiated settlement based on what the cost of the town was to achieve the compliance. Those are the foundations in which I would look at if somebody requests this. So what this policy would do is kind of outline that. It also outlines all the efforts in which code enforcement undertakes when a violation occurs and we are made aware of it. So that's the premise of this. By no means would we ever negotiate or reduce beyond the initial penalty, which depending on the violation be $50 or $100. And then furthermore, what we had put in this policy is that for any negotiated settlements with voluntary compliance, a report would be provided and back to town council. So y'all can stay abreast of these things and know what's happening. This has nothing to do with people who just are not in compliance. And if we cannot achieve that compliance, then, those cases we do turn over to the town attorney to carry forward, if council is so inclined to do that. So this is a baseline for this compliance type of policy. Again, we note that the policy does not include activities regulated by the North Carolina Building Code, Fire Code, or any other applicable state provisions that concern life and safety. Those always have to be priority number one. So at this time, I'll try to answer any questions you have. Ms. Collins is here as well to try to answer any questions that she'll work with Mr. Olds, our new code enforcement officer, in trying to get compliance on cases is really the primary objective.
Okay. Any questions concerning the code enforcement?
Is this the new code enforcement? His name is
Mr. Olds, yes. Sean Olds, yes.
How you doing, Sean? Would you come to the microphone real quick? All right, please.
You're not getting off that easy.
No, for
And,
sure.
and Sean, not that I'm trying to protect him, he started Monday. Has been doing
That's plenty of time.
been doing a great job
This is on.
working with Amy, taking him under her wing. So, Mr. Olds.
I want to add something to it. Just remember, when I met you, I said, you call me if you need anything. When you meet him, he calls you in front of him.
I'll keep track of that. Yeah. Absolutely.
This is how it works up here. You can see that, okay, for sure.
Sure.
Good. Anyway, nice to meet you. As you know, code enforcement is a sensitive subject around here. And I'm 100% in support of code enforcement. We need it in our city, but we also don't need to bully people in the same aspect. And I'm not saying that you're going to do that.
Right.
And I'm not saying the last guy did that at all. So it looks like your demeanor looks like it's super fantastic. We're excited. I think people want code enforcement. They want things to be right. So I'm excited about you doing this process, and I know that the manager, Amy, are going to be fantastic. I know this council's fantastic, and we will call you and ask you lots of questions for sure all the time, so
Yeah.
for sure, but
100%.
thank you.
I've been working with code enforcement for 17 years, and working with people generally achieves compliance way better than not working with people. But at the same time, you have to be objective in your job, and you have to administer that code equally to everybody. And the thing that I always say, if it's causing issues with the code enforcement officer on interpretation or whatever, let's make adjustments where we need to fit our community. And I think that we've done a pretty good job at that, and we'll continue to do that.
Well, I wanted people to see you on video because you're the code enforcement officers. You're the code enforcement officers, and we're the code complaintment officers,
Yes.
okay? So
Yes.
we get, after you enforce, then they complain sometimes to us. We just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Yeah, for sure. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
You're crazy. I don't know what the hell you want to do.
Happy to be here.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
Again, code enforcement, as well as anything else in our community, is based on education and consistency, so we like to remain consistent to where someone is, Cal feels like we're not playing, giving one person something over the other, and That is very important, especially when you live in small town, again, with social media being the front line of every day.
And I think they did a good job too at highlighting some of the bigger issues that, you know, this board feels important, and we were doing spotlights on code enforcement and just, you know, very general reminders about, you know, pin in the ground signs and the Flappy Man and, you know, all the things that you know, that we deal with day in and day out.
All right, so that, you just need a
Just a
consensus here as well.
I agree.
I agree.
We have 100% on code enforcement policy. Moving next to item number 6 is the budget book.
So, see, you all have a copy in your packet, and we have printed copies available for you. And then after this meeting, we will put the budget book on the website. After last fiscal year, we worked on this budget book, you know, and just didn't feel like it was at a point where we wanted to publish it. This year, we have refined this. I think it's a tremendous tool for our citizens to be able to refer back to. It's a tool that you can refer back to that is very easy to follow. There's infographics, talks about debt service, it talks about capital assets and what each budget is expending. It puts the budget message all in one place, and I'm not going to go through a huge presentation on it. Just wanted to really present this to you as a tool in the jobs that you do and the constituents in which you serve, and also I think provides another level of confidence back to the public about the fiscal stewardship in which you portray year over year with adopting a budget that meets the needs of the town and its residents. So if there's any questions about it, please let us know. And if you have suggestions or feedback, I always like to hear those things too, and we can get those incorporated. So again, all the budget information, including the budget book, will be put online for people to view at their pleasure.
Looking for consensus here as well?
There's no
Nothing.
approval necessary. It's just an administrative function in which we wanted to present to you.
All right, then, we'll just continue to move forward. Item number 7 is town-owned properties.
Okay, so the next item is another, it does not require any sort of vote. It is simply probably a long overdue effort to establish a repository outside of the Register of Deeds of all town-owned properties, to include beach accesses, parks and recreation facilities, properties in which the town owns and uses for fire and utilities, all of our pump stations, parking lots, etc. So what you have in front of you is a very detailed spreadsheet that identifies each one of those properties. I'm not going to go through each one. However, if you can see on the screen in front of you, it gives a snapshot of what that property is, a little aerial image, and then we will continue to build information on each one of these properties, such as deed restrictions or any actions that were taken on it. What is it actually being used for if it looks vacant, or, did we get it through FEMA funds and we cannot put a building on it, to hopefully try and eliminate some efforts that we regularly go through when we research properties. And then also with this, we will tie in the most recent assessment of values that we received from the North Carolina League of Municipalities, who does our property insurance. So each one of these items will now have sort of a replacement cost value if it's a tangible asset, They did not do values on strictly land, but just having some tools here and wanted to present that to council so that if you have questions about, hey, what are we doing with this, or hey, can we do this with that property, or whatever it may come up, you have a quick one-stop shop that we can go to and take a look at them. So be more than happy to answer any questions that you have on it. Again, this covers everything that the town owns. We had a gentleman here that was here probably for a good week or so, I want to say, that visited with all our departments, including utilities, to understand where all the pump stations are and what goes into them, et cetera. So again, happy to answer any questions that you might
I have
have.
a question, Madam Mayor. Do you think I have a couple questions, if you don't mind? Sure. Yeah, so, as you know, I've spoke with you prior in the past. I spoke with the mayor, a couple of the council members about, the Welcome Center. I'd like to spend a minute, if you don't mind, on that Welcome Center. First of all, I'd like to, is there some way to find out, I'd like to, in the future, the cost of what that Welcome Center cost us yearly to operate? And then how much revenue are we bringing in from that Welcome Center? For example, if it cost us $140,000 to operate it last year and we brought in $30,000, is that a fiduciary, is that a responsible thing for our taxpayers? Sure. Is the question. So, and before I do that, is there possible that we can get an appraisal on that, or some sort of an assessment, value assessment on that property? Is that possible to do?
Yeah, so like I said, the only things we have to rely on are like tax value, and if something comes in on a report like this. So I did go back and looked at it. The building value that they had put on it was like $700,000 and some thousand. But I don't have any land value on it except for tax records, which are not going to be an accurate sort of portrayal. If we want to get an appraisal on it, or an appraisal on any of these properties, we certainly can. We would just have to contract with a certified appraiser to get it done.
What is the process, Madam Mayor, for doing that process of getting an appraisal on that property to find out what the value of it is? If we want to move forward by doing anything in the future with Roland Abbott or anything, doing improvements there, what's the process that we have to do?
Well, we just seek the professional service. We have to go out and find an appraiser, and we've worked with appraisers before. If you recall, before we got into the evaluation of the old police department, we had an appraisal done on that, and then a reappraisal because time had gone by to understand what that true market value is going to be.
Yeah, I think that's important when you have big pieces of property like that. I think it's important to understand what the true value of those are for our city, because the damn thing's worth more than $700,000. Yeah, for sure. So I'd like to know that process if we can get that. Is the council, Alicia, are we okay with getting an appraisal on that
sure.
that property to know what we're dealing with?
Yeah, find out what the property itself is worth.
Not shooting in the dark, I think, is can't talk about something you don't know about, have the information about. And then is it possible to get the numbers on that too, and moving forward in the future?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We have dedicated revenue line items for rental of the Welcome Center. So that is a very simple process. The thing that I'll have to break out is we've had, even over the last 4 or 5 years, we've renovated that building twice, and we don't have to get too far into the weeds with it, but we've renovated it twice. The first one was, I think, just aesthetics. We needed to make some facelift things to that to be competitive, to even rent it out. The second one was through storm damage. So I'll probably have a separate sort of line item out of that, but regularly with utility maintenance, HVAC stuff, painting or replacing whatever it may be, we can certainly find all that very easily. So.
And not to jump on from the Welcome Center, but the police department too. Can you get us an updated cost on the maintenance on that, what we're spending on that too? I'd like to know that, because that seems like a real money pit over there for sure.
We do have a functioning elevator, I will note.
Well, I just know that our tax dollars are important.
Yes.
And if we're spending tax dollars on stuff, I'd like to know what the value of that is, and if it makes sense. I want to give you credit for one thing. Like, one thing she said is we're not into doing events. I agree with that. The town, there's certain things the town shouldn't be doing. And I don't know if it's the best or not. I know the council and the town will need, you guys will need to decide that, but is it the best we have an event center on the beach? Is it costing us more? Is it worth us, our tax dollars going into that every month? And I don't know that. That's why I'm asking for some information from you, for sure.
Well, and I know we used to use the Welcome Center a lot for town meetings. You know, I told them I don't want us meeting over there just for staff meetings because we have a revenue generator in paid parking. So really for a day-to-day, we're not hosting meetings over there, especially in the summertime. So some of the uses have gone down with it, but, you know, again, I'll also bring to you, you know, there's probably not a ton of event space, you know, in Surf City, and we do fill, I think, some little niche there, you know, cost-effective wise. I'm not sure, but we'll bring it back to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It was definitely a very valuable place for our town when our town hall got destroyed by
Yes.
Hurricane Florence. I mean, it was a place that a lot of employees worked at every day, and that is the place where we had events. But since this place has been built, it's you know, very accommodating to not only our town, but to a lot of other.
Yeah, and I'll remind the board, you know, we are still in the preliminary stages, but looking at adding on to the community center, potentially new sort of multi-purpose spaces and gym spaces over there. Also the project at Station 2 that, you know, we're calling our public utilities facility in the future, where we want to accommodate future growth out there and have conference rooms and other meeting locations. So the town may be expanding those types of opportunities as well. It's just presence and location are going to potentially shift. So again, all things to consider, you know, if the town council wants to move forward with anything. But we'll bring back some preliminary stuff and we'll continue to work on those.
Thank you for putting that together, Kyle. It definitely shows us exactly what we own and what we're responsible for upkeep on, so.
Yeah, and you know, we were getting a lot of requests on a while ago on vacant oceanfront properties that the town owned, and you know, what do we own, what don't we own, and again, this is just a nice little bundle to wrap it all up in.
I'd like to ask, what's the significance to the colors?
That is, so your tab number 2 gives you a key. So red is fire. Huh. Interesting.
Surprising.
Orange is vacant lots. 3 is yellow is beach accesses. Green is parks and rec. Or light blue is utilities. Purple is other, and then the brown is parking.
Thank you.
Yep. There's a lot in there. So
Yeah, jeez.
Okay, so at this time, there's nothing else scheduled on our agenda. Anything? Say what? Oh, this strategic plan.
Yes, and that's, again, I hate that I'm here requesting council delay this. It has not been forgotten about. I told you this last month, but it will get back before you. And we do continue to work on that. The one thing, Madam Mayor, if I may bring up though, real quick, was that there was information placed in front of you. This has just come out, so we didn't have time to get it on the agenda, but since you guys are all familiar with this, we dealt with this last month, and there was a proposal to purchase a small portion of land in which the town owns adjacent to the old police department. 213 North New River Drive is the location. Council had approved for the clerk to move forward in the advertisement of upset bids for 66 square feet of property. The requestor has come back and asked for an additional 29 square feet to be able to work with the property lines for building setbacks for a future restaurant and development project. So with that, they have increased their offer amount from 10,000 to 15,000. And if council can just generally say, we're okay with this, we will then have to prepare a new resolution for your August meeting. And then Madam Clerk will have to advertise, and we'll re-go through the upset bid process. But this would try and cut down some of that time with it. So we've looked at it. I don't see any major impacts with the modified request, and you know, we will ask that with this, and I think that you know, I talked to the attorney a little bit about it yesterday, and you know, the additional cost for advertising, because we've already advertised this once, we'll try to seek that back from the requestor.
So you're just giving us an update, or is this something that
If
needs to
y'all-
be added to the
Yeah,
agenda?
well, Brett, would you prefer that they add this to the agenda if they're going to provide consensus on it?
We can just add it to the agenda, as long as the board's fine with it. But it does need to go right back on the agenda. They're going to have to vote on it again, just like we go through.
You want them to add it right now to provide consensus, or is we're good enough?
I think we would need a vote. I think it
Okay.
should be on the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
This doesn't affect any of our property that we wanted to hold on to, right? The 65 square feet or whatever. it is.
I mean, it affects it just by the literal 90 some square feet that they would be purchasing from our land, but overall in what the town has envisioned and use of that property, I don't see an
Yeah,
impact,
okay.
a major impact for it.
Make a motion, we add it to the agenda.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to add the amendment and proposal for the Joe Lyons Alliance LLC for the proposed purchase of a portion of 213 North New River Drive. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries to add it to the agenda.
And Madam Mayor, this time I would just be seeking consensus for the clerk to prepare an updated resolution to go onto your August agenda.
Yes, I agree.
Agree.
All right, we have 100% consensus to move forward with the update. All right, so item number 8, we were not prepared for today, and we're just going to postpone that to another meeting. At this time, anyone else have anything they want to add? No more updates, no nothing?
1 hour, whoa.
1 hour. So, next week there are some events coming up in town. Just want to make sure that, I think there's a R5900 project with DOT that will be happening on Monday. Tuesday, Mission Barbecue out of Wilmington is bringing us a free lunch here at Town Hall. On Wednesday, RPO in Pender County. And then the week after that, we have a very special retirement party for Captain Jeff Johnson. So we just want to make sure everybody has that on their calendar to be here for that, that little going away party.
What time is that? What time is it?
For Jeff?
Night or something like that?
Is it at nighttime, the beer and wine, or no? Okay, 1 o'clock lunch, okay, no beer and wine, I guess, okay, no, for sure.
And Madam Mayor, I will remind that there is a sip, shop, and stroll tonight. Paige King Johnson will be performing, Lord Willen and Weather Holding, so everybody come out to that.
Isn't there another band there too? The Dirty Blondes or something? Is there
I
something?
think that's our next sip, shop, and stroll. Yeah, I believe so anyway.
But just thank you again to all of our employees. You're doing an outstanding job. You're being very patient with our influx in population during this time. So, and again, we want to welcome Mr. Olds for joining our team here. I'm sure that you will just fit right in, and we will move forward for many, many years with your employment. So, at this time, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are adjourned.